Hey everybody, so I've made over 300 videos on this channel, mostly about apps on my computer, and I wanted to do something different today where I look at every single app I have on my Mac and defend it. Why is it there? Do I still use it? Why do I find it practical? Why is it there in the first place? And I think all of them have a reason for existing, but I guess we'll see for sure in a second. So let's take a look at every app on my Mac. All right, so here we are in the applications folder, and let's actually just select all and see how many items are here. 136 items. So based on that, we're not going to do a full walkthrough of everything. I'm just going to defend it very quickly. If I've never talked about it on the channel, maybe I'll explain it a little bit more, but hopefully a lot of these will make sense. Now, we can start with some very easy ones. These are folders added. We have 3 for Adobe apps. I do use Photoshop occasionally for creating mock-ups of devices. You'll see these in thumbnails on this channel quite often as well. And then Lightroom is my favorite place for editing photos that I take on my Canon camera. It's just very, very nice, has really great controls, and I just work really well in it. So Adobe stuff, I would love to replace it with like Photomator and stuff, but they're just better, in my opinion, for the things that I need to do. Motion VFX. This is who I tend to purchase plugins for Final Cut in. We'll get to Final Cut in a bit, but I use Final Cut Pro to edit a lot of these videos. And I have some extensions to do little things with special effects that are nice to have. Utilities folder, nothing really special here. I think this is literally just what comes on the Mac. I don't touch anything here. Then we have 1Password, which I have 2 apps for because Safari. Basically, I have 1Password, which is my password manager of choice. It is still, I've tried over the Christmas break, I actually tried a bunch of other password managers to see if I could switch away from 1Password, if 1Password was still the best for me. For me, by an absolute mile, 1Password is the best. So yeah, I'm still using 1Password. And then to get it to work in Safari, it needs to have an app extension, and so that's what this is for. I don't use Safari most of the time, but when I do use Safari, I want access to 1Password, so I have this installed. Accents is a really cool app. This basically lets you set custom accent colors. So if I go into my appearance settings, you can see I have all of the normal options available to me, but iMacs get special colors because they have different accent colors to match the device that they are. So basically, these were special accent colors made available to people who bought the 2021 iMacs, and then the 2024 ones had slightly different variants. But if I want to use those, I can use them now. And now I have an orange accent on my interface. Let's actually keep that because it matches my background. So now we have orange. I wouldn't have had access to this specific orange if I didn't have Accents. So Accents is cool. Free little app. App Store, that's where I get a few apps. I tend not to get things from the App Store. I personally prefer to get apps directly from developers. I find that easier. I like that it supports them more. They get more of the money from it, and it's just easier for me. I manage all of my serial numbers in 1Password for what it's worth. Arc. Oh, I used to be a big proponent of Arc, and I still think it's a great browser. I still do use it for some work stuff. I kind of quarantine all of any like work-related stuff into Arc, and then I do all my personal stuff in a different browser. We'll get to kind of way at the end of this. But yeah, I keep Arc around. It's still a good browser, but in case you weren't aware, the browser company who makes this basically said, we don't think there's ever going to be a billion user product, so we're going to move on to something else. We'll see. I don't know. Product market fit is a very hard thing to find. They seem to really hit gold with Arc, but wasn't good enough for them. So we'll see what happens there. Audio Hijack. Audio Hijack, I'll open this up for us, is a very, I was going to say simple app, but it's a really complicated app. It's a really powerful app. I use it for very simple things. It's basically just an easy way for me to record audio to my Mac. And so I have one for recording my podcast mic and one for when I have a USB mic plugged in. Basically, if I double click on this, you can see it takes an input device and saves it to an MP3. But there are all sorts of things you can do here. You can equalize it. You can put a limiter on it. You can save it to multiple sources at once. I should probably do a video on this to kind of show a lot of the stuff you can do with this. But this is a super powerful app, and I feel kind of dumb because I just use it for this super simple flow of record audio from a microphone, save it to a file, and you can customize what it says. Very, very simple for my use, but yeah. That's Audio Hijack. Automator. I used to love Automator when I was younger. This was the first automation tool that really worked for me, but I would just say this is basically like shortcuts, but more complicated, less refined of an interface, less easy to understand. But this is what helped me kind of create my first automations when I was younger, and I will always have a soft spot for it. It just comes on Mac, so you can check it out if you want. But Automator kind of cool, but Shortcuts really has replaced it for almost everything. Then there's Balatro. Balatro is a great game. Probably my favorite game of last year. What a delight. Very addictive. It's on Apple Arcade Plus if you pay for that, or Apple Arcade if you pay for that, and is like a $10, $20 game or something if you buy it just from them directly. Awesome game. Bartender 5. I still use Bartender to trim down my menu bar. You can see, I just got a couple notifications from things. But yeah, Bartender basically makes it so that I have just the things I want to see here. And if I go into this empty space, I can see some things that are hidden that should show up. Occasionally I want to see, but I don't need to see all the time. When I go away from that, they disappear, right? So I like having Bartender. There's other apps that do this. There's free apps that do this, but Bartender just works for me, and I paid for it a long time ago, so I'm just going to keep using the one that works best for me. Bezel is kind of cool. I think I've made a video about this before, but basically this makes it so that you can connect a iPhone or an iPad to your Mac with a cable, and it can mirror that device. So I don't have one plugged in right now, so it's not going to do anything, but it does open up here, and if I connect a device, it will let me mirror that screen. Maybe I'll put some B-roll on screen here so you can see it, but yeah, that's what that does. I'm going to quit it right now. Apple Books, it's just on the Mac. By default, I don't use it. So there's Broadcasts. Broadcasts, I like. It's a free app. There isn't an app purchase, but I don't know what it would get me. I just use the free version. And basically, I've loaded in the live feeds for the Accidental Tech Podcast, Relay FM, and B96 from Chicago, which is the radio station that I listened to as a young child, and they're still around, and you can just subscribe to all sorts of things. So you can browse. They have tons of stations here, and you can just find basically any radio station out there. And again, if there are people who do live streams, you can often get a URL from them, put it in here. I think new station. And then, yeah, if you just have the URL, you can go ahead and add it. But yeah, this is really cool to just listen live on the occasions that I want to with these podcasts specifically. And they also have an iPhone app, so you can download it there. Then we have BusyCal. I've made a whole video on BusyCal. I recently switched to BusyCal from Fantastical. I think Fantastical is still awesome, but BusyCal is a one-time purchase and is quite good in its own right. So I'll link to a video on BusyCal below, but a really good calendar app if reliability and speed are your most important things. Calculator, it's the Apple Calculator app. Calendar, on the other end of the spectrum, I do not like Apple's Calendar app. It's too slow to sync. It's too unreliable. I missed meetings. I went to meetings that have been canceled. Like, it really, really frustrates me how Apple's Calendar app works. ChatGPT. I do use ChatGPT on a semi-regular basis, and I use their not their iOS app, their Mac app, to do things sometimes, just because it's sometimes nice to have a chat over in a single app, not in a browser tab. But it does all the same things the web interface does. Chatwise, similarly, is an app that basically does that. If I open this up, you can kind of see it has the chat history. And yeah, this is a transcript of a thing that I did. I'm going to blur that out because that was a work thing. But yeah, basically I can ask it questions. It does all the chatbot stuff, and I can choose what model to use. I just have my own API keys loaded up so I can use the best models, but I only pay a couple cents per request rather than paying $20 per month for these services to get access to their best models. Chess, I don't play. Claude, same thing as ChatGPT. Occasionally I like to use their app rather than the web for whatever reason. So if I want to, it is there. CleanShot. Oh, how many times can I talk about CleanShot? I love CleanShot. It's great for taking screenshots. If I go ahead and take a screenshot here, go ahead and hit B. We can add my wallpaper to it. We can add a different background. Let's say I like that one. Let's reduce the padding. Since there's already a screenshot under, or a shadow under here, I can adjust that. Let's say this is going to be in a thumbnail, so I need to be 16 by 9. Again, play around with the padding to make it right. Let's say that looks good. Done. and now I have this really nice, high quality screenshot, and it just makes stuff like that really easy to do. I can also mark up screenshots. I've made so many videos about this, you're probably tired of hearing it, so I'll move on to clock, which I don't use. So that's really it. Compressor, this comes with Final Cut Pro. Basically, if you open it up, you can drag in audio files, or not audio files, video files, and you can change them to different file formats. Basically, there's all sorts of things here, and you can change them to those file formats. I don't really use this that often, but on the rare occasion I need to convert a video, it's nice to have this built in. Contacts, I don't really use Apple Contacts for anything at all. Craft, actually, this one I could probably uninstall. Craft is a really nice note-taking app. I just don't take many notes. So they had a 3.0 release, I think, recently, and I wanted to try it out again. It doesn't really solve my needs, so I could probably get rid of this one. So I will not defend this. Croissant. Croissant is a cool app for cross-posting to social media. It supports and is... There we go. It took a second to launch for whatever reason. It basically just lets you say this is a post, and you can attach media to it. You can create threads. So this is another one. There we go. And you could post this. I have it connected to my Blue Sky and Mastodon accounts. You can also connect threads to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's just a way to cross-post. I tend to use this more on the iPhone than I do on my Mac, but I paid for it, so I should have it on all my devices, so it's on the Mac as well. Cursor, I made a video about recently where Cursor is basically Cursor is unbelievable. Cursor is a Visual Studio Code fork that is focused on an AI assistant, right? So this is some of the code for my app quick reviews. And basically, there is this composer over here where you can ask it to do things for you. And I find it really, really helpful. Made a whole video on this recently. I'll link to that in the description. Dictionary, I don't really use. Discord, I really dislike Discord for many reasons, both like technically and just philosophically. I really am annoyed that so many things have moved to this like private thing, and you can't find any of this like documentation that people create and questions people have answered. None of that exists in like Google search results anymore. It just exists in Discord, and you kind of have to find it. I'm really annoyed by Discord, but some things are just there, and I have to use it to access them. So I do have Discord installed. FaceTime, I don't really FaceTime for my Mac, so yeah, it's there. Fantastical, my subscription has not lapsed yet. It lapses, I think, in March, so pretty soon I'll probably uninstall it at that point, but I guess I just have it installed for no huge reason. Figma, I love Figma. Figma for design is fantastic. I am a designer by day. When I'm not doing YouTube videos, I'm doing design work for a payments company, and yeah, I love Figma. I do all my work in Figma, so happy to have that. Final Cut Pro. I edit so many of these videos in Final Cut Pro. I love Final Cut Pro. It is my favorite nonlinear editor. I'm recording this video in ScreenFlow. A lot of my screen sharing stuff I will do in ScreenFlow, but anything else is happening in Final Cut because it's just my favorite way to edit. Find My. Fission. Fission is a cool app. Fission is also from the people who make Audio Hijack. And basically, if I open this up, it lets you bring in an audio file, and I exclusively use this to convert file formats. So I regularly get an M4A file, an audio file for the podcast that I record called Comfort Zone. I need to turn that into an MP3, so I just drag the file in here. It takes like 30 seconds to convert an hour-long audio file to MP3. It does some other stuff, but really that's the purpose of it, is converting files. Flurp. What's Flurp? I think it's a web browser. Yeah, it's a web browser. It's a web browser. It's a Firefox-based web browser. That's pretty clear. Someone recommended me install this and try it out. I don't know why I would use this. So I'm just going to quit Flurp and probably uninstall it after this video. Not saying anything bad about it. Just it doesn't have anything unique for me that I initially found. Fontbook. I love Fontbook. Not because it's like the most spectacular app in the world, but because I can install whatever apps or whatever fonts I want on my Mac. I would love to have this app on the iPad so that I could have more fonts there. But yeah, let's open it up and just go to my fonts. What do I have? Antonio Atkinson Hyperlegible. That's a good one. Bebas New Pro. That's what I use for a lot of the stuff on this channel. What other ones are notable? I found Awesome in here, Futura Now. Yeah, there's quite a few fonts in here that I use all the time. Where's Mona Lisa? Yeah, Mona Lisa variable. This is my favorite terminal font, my favorite monospace font. So I use this in all the apps that have monospace anything on my Mac. But yeah, having this all in Font Book is great. Forecast is an app made by Marco Arment, the creator of Overcast. He doesn't really do much with it these days, but it totally functions. And basically what you do here is if you make a podcast and want to add chapters to it, you can drag in your MP3 here. You can just give it the podcast title. So mine would be Comfort Zone, the episode title. You can add a summary if you want. You can add custom artwork if you want. And then you can create chapters here. So you can say when the chapters start, when they end. You can put links to them. So in the podcast app, if it supports it, it'll let them tap the chapter title to go to that link. You can do custom artwork for each chapter. This is a great app. Works very, very well. Yeah, it doesn't really get any updates these days, but is totally functional. And I know Marco still uses it himself. So I presume if macOS ever breaks it, hopefully it'll get an update. Freeform is kind of like Figma's FigJam feature, but just made by Apple. I don't really use this myself, so I don't have much to say about it. Ghosty. I am not enough of a developer to confidently make a video about a terminal emulator, but Ghosty is great. I really like it. If we go ahead and open it up, the things I like about it are it's fast and it's very native. That's really it. We could do brew, update, whatever. Like I don't do that exciting stuff. Like I update my homebrew software through this. I SSH into servers and do basic things. But yeah, I really like Ghosty. It's my current go-to terminal emulator and totally free and open source. GitHub Desktop. I do coding, but I also am not good at Git. So GitHub Desktop lets me kind of manage my Git history and everything all here. So this is pretty nice. I like having a UI for my Git stuff. I know a lot of people prefer the command line for it. I'm a UI guy. I like the UI for it. Chrome, because you got to have Chrome. I don't use it really, but I occasionally use it for like web development. That's about it. Home, I never use the Home app on my Mac, but it is here pre-installed, so there it is. Horse is a web browser. Horse is a weird web browser. Horse is a web browser that doesn't really click with me. Yeah, it's basically, we'll do this later. It basically, every time you click on a thing, so you're kind of like going down a rabbit hole. Everything you click goes down a rabbit hole and then you can go back up it. What happens if I click like entertainment now? Yeah, so that's like a different thread under here. It's made for research, and I don't use a web browser this way. The coolest thing about this is if I do there's a Google search. There's a way to, show a horse, and I don't know where it is. The UI is kind of cool. It's kind of fun, but yeah, I don't particularly jive with it. Resources for horse. Tab. No, I don't know how to make the horse show up. Anyway, maybe I can undo. Was it one of these? It's got to be a horse somewhere. Onboarding. It's got to be onboarding. Nope. Welcome to horse. Now these aren't loading. I might have screwed something up. But anyway, horse browser. It's a web browser that doesn't quite work for me, but is a cool, interesting little thing. Hyperspace. This is an app from John Siracusa. If I open this up, you can see it's currently in test flight. Basically, what this will do is enabled for all files for real. Okay, so it looks like he's updated something. But basically, what this lets you do is give it a directory. It can scan that directory, and it's going to find your files, find your duplicate files, and will give you the ability to use some of the APFS magic of file duplication to remove the duplicates and not remove anything from your computer, but like it's removing duplication. I would save 677 megabytes if I did that. I am not going to do that right now. So I'm not sure if I'll ever use this, but conceivably there could be people who get a lot of benefit from this. IINA. Not really sure how to pronounce this one, and I just downloaded this recently. Basically, this is a video player like QuickTime, but with more file compatibility like VLC, but in a UI that's a little nicer. I don't have much to say about this one because I just haven't used it much, so I'm just going to leave that there. Image capture. This one I use when I connect my camera to my computer or my SD card. I just plug it in. This lets me pull files off it, and critically, it lets me delete files off the SD card in a way that the camera understands. If you just delete them from the Finder, sometimes the camera gets confused about like where it is and like file naming. So I always delete everything through Image Capture. Image Playground. I don't use Image Playground. Insta360 Link Controller. This is the app for managing this very camera. If I open it up, you should see a video of me. Yes, there we go. So there's some controls here for turning some of the features on and off. I can set some presets for where I think things look good. And yeah, I basically just go into this when when for whatever reason it's not chosen the right place to focus, and I can fix it here. That's about it. iPhone mirroring, I don't use iPhone mirroring that much. You did see that notification earlier from Things, but I don't find it that useful. I guess it can be useful, but I'm not the person. But built into the Mac, so it's just there. iStat menus. I'm just a long-time user of this. I like seeing data about my computer. Right now, I have my network traffic showing here, so I can see when network traffic is happening. Sometimes if there's an unexpected spike, it's good to know and see what app is doing something. I guess I'll probably blur out some of this, but yeah, you can see this information. You can see a chart for the past hour, 6 hours. Here's all the stuff I was doing. Looks like I was uploading around 7 a.m. What was I uploading around 7 a.m.? I don't remember. But yeah, so you've got some data here. I think I might also have... No, I don't have anything else right now, but you can put like CPU stuff here. Actually, if I go into it, I could show you. Yeah, you can theme it how you want. You can put the weather up here if you'd like. You can totally customize this. You can show RAM usage. You can show CPU usage. You can show disk storage. All sorts of stuff you can play around with here. But yeah, just if you like having data on how your Mac is working, this is cool. iTerm, this is exactly like Ghosty, just a different terminal. It's slower. It's very, very good, though. So if you want a very basic one, not a very basic one, a very good one, even remind me later for this update. You can see I haven't launched it in a while. The nice thing about this is iTerm has a visual interface for settings, which Ghosty does not. Ghosty lets you create a text file with your settings in it, but this has a UI for creating everything. Keyboard Maestro. Oh, I love Keyboard Maestro. Made numerous videos about this. Basically, this is an automation tool for your Mac for people who need a ton of control. It can control your windows. It can type things for you. It's also a very good replacement for like a text expander or something like that. So if you just like want to type your email or your email address or like a template for an email, you can do all this with like keyboard shortcuts. Again, I made a video about this, so I won't go into it now. Keynote. I don't use Keynote. It's not really relevant to me, but yep. Launchpad is just this Launchpad. I'm honestly a little surprised this still exists in macOS, but there it is. Leader Key is an app that I might make a video on. It's kind of a weird one. Basically, the concept, or I did make a video on this one, actually. I take it back. There's a video on it. Basically, the gist is you can hit a keyboard shortcut just like you can with Raycast, Alpha, or something like that. And then you can do one key shortcuts after that. So if I wanted to open Ghosty, G, and that's it. And I've configured it to do that. If I go into settings here, you can see all these rules I set up. Again, made a video about this. I don't love this app. It is running right now, but it doesn't solve a problem for me specifically, but there's some cool stuff there. Logitech Options Plus is just because I use an MX Master 3S, and sometimes I edit things in there. I don't know. I probably haven't touched that since I installed it. Mac Whisper. Mac Whisper is wonderful. Made a video about this. Basically, you feed it an audio file or a video file, and it creates a transcript for you using WhisperSync, which is OpenAI's transcription tool. Really, really good, really high quality, and runs totally locally. Mail. I really don't like Apple Mail, so I don't use it. Apple Maps. I use Apple Maps for maps. Messages. I use Messages to iMessage and SMS, RCS people. MimeStream, I really like MimeStream, but it's not the email app I'm using right now. I think if they release their iOS app and their iOS app is really good, then I might go back to it. But right now I have a different email app that I'm using, and I'm really annoyed that I'm I keep using it because it's very expensive. Minstaller, this is the app for installing those Final Cut Pro extensions or plugins that we talked about earlier. Mission Control is just Mission Control. Moonlight is cool. I can't really show it now, but basically my PC is off, so it's not going to connect to it. But this lets me do kind of remote gameplay of my local PC. So my computer is at my desk. If it was on, I could go ahead and select it. I would get the full screen, and I could play games on my Mac. All right, the games are on the PC, but I could play them from my Mac screen, and it works really, really well. If you're on a good home internet connection, then you can do some really high quality gaming there. Motion, I almost never use Motion, so it's just there because I bought it many years ago. Apple Music, I do use Apple Music over Spotify. Apple News, I don't really use Apple News. Maybe I should try it more, but it just never totally clicks with me. Apple Notes, I keep some personal notes in here. Notion, I used to use Notion for a lot. I don't use it for much anymore. I currently use it for tracking some of the stuff that I'm reading and playing, just so I can kind of see like calendars of what I'm working on. I think if I actually open this up, it'll open up there. I also use it for collaboration, so I collaborate with some people. Oh, there's an update. I do some collaboration with people, and they work in Notion, so I have Notion for that. But yeah, so I'm currently using it for my media reviews. And yes, I can see I'm currently reading The Mountain and the Sea. Started that a while ago. I'm really going slow on that one. I'm not totally loving it. And I'm playing a few games in parallel right now. And so I'm just logging what I'm watching, what I'm playing, and what I'm reading this year here, which is kind of fun. Notion Calendar, decent calendar app, but not really for me. Nova, this is a code editor, an IDE, similar to Visual Studio Code. I have it. I don't really use it much. I don't find it as good as Visual Studio Code. Numbers, I do my own personal numbers, like spreadsheeting in Numbers, but everything else I just use Google Sheets pretty much, because that's what lots of other people use, and it's natively online, easy to share, easy to collaborate, that sort of thing. Obsidian, oh, I love Obsidian. Obsidian is a app I've written about, made videos about a lot. Basically, this is where I manage my YouTube stuff, so you can see every app on my Mac is the current video I'm working on, and then I have these other videos I worked on recently. So, for example, I could go into the cursor video, and here's all the info. When I published it, the URL if I ever need to get that quickly. I didn't upload the thumbnail on this one, but I should have. Show notes or episode notes, all that stuff is in here, so I use that for this. I also, what else do I do? I also have highlights that I sync from Readwise in here, so I use Readwise Reader to read things for later, and basically it automatically syncs in whatever I highlight here. One of the things that I can do here is, if I wanted to, for example, make a link post to this on my blog, I have a keyboard shortcut set up that will basically create a new link post for this, right? And here it is. So this is the article originally, and here's the link post that I've got for it. So this is really, really cool. But yeah, tons you can do in Obsidian, made videos on this, so I won't belabor the point. Olama is pretty cool. Olama basically lets you, let's bring up Ghosty actually, and let's see, if I do Olama, I can run, I installed DeepSeek, the kind of the small one recently, to just try to see what it runs like locally. And it's loading the model right now. It shouldn't take much time. Here we go. How do you make a PB and J sandwich? And basically this lets you run open source LLMs on your computer. So this is all happening locally. It's kind of doing its thinking thing here, and then eventually it'll stop. But you can install other models. You can do like the Llama models. There's a ton of them. DeepSeek was just, it was the hotness like a month or two ago. And so I installed it to try it out. And yeah, so it's doing quite a bit of thinking here. We'll let that kind of run. But yeah, this is running totally locally on my Mac. So yeah, pretty cool. Pages, I don't use Pages at all. Parcel, I use for package tracking. I don't track a ton of packages these days. When I moved a couple years ago, I was tracking a lot of packages because we were getting lots of stuff. But yeah, I don't really use this that much anymore. Passwords, this is one of the apps I tried over the holidays for password management. It does not work for me. Just the way that I work, the way that I don't live entirely in Safari and Apple's ecosystem, it's not a good fit for me. Pastebot, oh, I love clipboard managers. I think clipboard managers are amazing. I didn't understand them for many, many years, and then I started using one, and it changed my life. So the gist is that you can copy something and then copy something else, and that original thing you copied is still available to you. You can still get back to it if you want. So basically, I could say, here's my keyboard shortcut, and you can see here's some of the things that I've copied recently. There's actually quite a few things in here. I can have it. I have it saving up to the last 500 things I've copied to my clipboard. So if I've copied something in the last few days, even weeks sometimes, it's here. I can get back to it, which is really great. So I really hate the pain of copying something and then forgetting that I had to do something with it and then copying something else and losing what I originally had. You don't have that with the password manager. There's tons of options out here, but this is like $10 and it is usable forever, works great, has a nice UI. Love it. Photo Booth. I don't use Photo Booth. Photomator. I mentioned earlier that I use Adobe Lightroom for photo editing. Photomator is basically the same idea, just by Pixelmator, who was recently acquired by Apple, actually. So we'll see what happens with this app, but yeah, it's not, for whatever reason, it's not quite the one for me. Lightroom just always pulls me back. Photos, I do use Apple Photos for my photo collection. I also have it mirrored to Synology, but that's not happening on the Mac anywhere, so not part of this video. But yeah, I do use Apple Photos, really like it. Pixelmator Pro, this is Pixelmator's Photoshop alternative, and I don't use this a ton, although I do use it to make my thumbnails for these videos, so I do actually use it on a decently regular basis, but if I'm doing like bigger work, I do tend to use Photoshop. Apple Podcasts, I don't generally use. I tend to use Castro these days, or Overcast. Those are the two apps that really work for me. Preview, we all use Preview. Proton Pass, this was another one that I tried to move to over the holidays when I was wondering if 1Password was still the right one for me. Proton Pass, I would say this is the least native feeling web app I've used in a very long time. It just feels like the website. There's no keyboard shortcuts. There's no integrations in the system. I think it's actually pretty disappointing. Quick Reviews is my own app. This is not technically supposed to run on the Mac right now, but I have it on the Mac where it doesn't really function totally. But anyway, my own app, so I've talked about that enough. QuickTime, I use QuickTime sometimes. That's it. Raycast is my app launcher of choice. Reader is my RSS reader of choice. Really like Reader. I don't think I've ever made a video about it because I don't know what to say really, but basically I use iKnowReader for syncing my feeds, and I have basically folders full of feeds for blogs, Apple stuff, YouTube channels. I never want to miss anything, and a couple of random ones here, but I just really like it as a way to keep up with the news in a way that's not algorithmically driven. This is just everything these people post, so really like it. Reminders, I don't really use Apple Reminders. Reply, this is an app I was going to make a video about, but it doesn't really do anything for me. The very short version is it's supposed to suggest things for you to reply to people in messages. If they send you an iMessage and you don't reply, it can help you think of what to say. I don't really understand the use case, but maybe there's a use case out there. Safari, it's just on the Mac. You can't get rid of it. I don't use it a ton. Save to Reader. This is the stupid app that I have to install to get Readwise Reader to work on Safari, because Safari can't just have extensions. It has to have apps that have extensions. Very annoying, but anyway, that's what it is. Screen Studio is a screen recording app and screen recording editing app that I use relatively frequently these days. I'm not using it for this video, just because there's no good reason really. I'm just using ScreenFlow. But yeah, really great. Does some really awesome animations and stuff. So yeah, really good. ScreenFlow is what I've used for many years to do screen recording on this Mac. I still think it's the best, but it's a little more manual. Screen Studio does some automatic like animations, zooms, and stuff for you, whereas ScreenFlow makes you do it all yourself. It's really easy once you get to know it, but yeah, ScreenFlow just works really well for me. SF Symbols is a way to see the SF symbols that are available. These are not useful for most people, but they can be useful for designers. They can be useful for developers. Basically, if I want to put this in my iOS code, I can right-click on one of these. I can copy the name or whatever I want, and I can go ahead and put it in there. I can also do some stuff with animation here, like there's some pretty cool stuff with SF symbols. So if you're a developer not using them, I would highly recommend checking them out because they're pretty rad these days. Shortcuts, I mentioned shortcuts. I don't use shortcuts a ton, but I do have some little ones here. Basically, I have this one called line up images, where basically I will select some images, I'll run the shortcut on them, and it will resize them and then put them horizontally together so they can kind of line up a couple screenshots next to each other. Read the news. This is one I was using for a little while. Basically, just opened a bunch of tabs with news sites that I wanted to read. Yeah, there's some stuff here, but I don't use shortcuts a ton. There's some people who are real power users who use this. Sim Daltonism, I'm not sure how this will show up, but basically Sim Daltonism lets you, I have to give it permissions to see the full screen again, which, let's see if this works in real time. It does work in real time. Okay, cool. So basically, this lets you create this window that you can put on top of your screen to simulate certain types of vision. So if I go up here, I can choose what sort of color blindness I want to show, and you can kind of see what someone with this would see. This is really good for UI design to be able to see, can a user who has this sort of vision still see the difference between the UI elements that we're showing. Siri, can't get rid of Siri. Slack, I use Slack for work. Spark Desktop. This one I'm actually surprised is still on here. I don't use Spark. It doesn't click with me. Years ago it did. It's just not the email app for me anymore, unfortunately. Steam, I play the occasional game on my Mac. I tend to play on my PC, but I do have Civilization 7 installed right now. And yeah, I'm playing a little bit of Civ 7. It's okay. I'm not really a huge Civ fan, but I played a lot of Civilization 2 many, many years ago. And so yeah, quite a bit has changed since then. But yeah, kind of a fun game, obviously. That's not a super revelatory thing, but yeah, playing on Steam. Stickies, I don't really use stickies. Stocks, I don't really use stocks. Supercharge, I love Supercharge. Basically, Supercharge has a bunch of tweaks to your Mac you can create. Yeah, there's just a ton of little tweaks you can do here. I'm not going to go over all of these. I've made too many videos on this one already, but there's tons of little things you can do. For example, I can toggle my whole system to dark mode with this keyboard shortcut. That's pretty cool. Instead of going through my launcher or through the system settings app. Yeah, there's some cool stuff here. I can hide all my windows with the command. I can clear visible notifications. This one's really cool. If there's one on screen, I could clear it with this keyboard shortcut instead of going up there with my mouse. So I really love Supercharge. Made numerous videos about it. I'll try to link to them. Supercopy is a Safari extension. So again, just lives here because it's an extension. And this lets you hit Command-Shift-C in Safari to copy the current URL. It's a feature in Arc that I love. It's a feature in Zen browser that I love. And yeah, fantastic to have it in Safari as well. Superhuman is my email app of choice. It is too expensive, and I'm looking to get rid of it, but I get a lot of email. Email is important to what I do, and it's the best email experience. So for now, I'm paying for it. I would love to stop, though. It would be very good if I could stop. Surf is another web browser currently in beta. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to show it exactly right now, but yeah, it's interesting. A lot of these browsers these days are being made for people who do research, and I don't use the web that way, so they don't really click for me. But anyway, settings, test flight, whatever. TextCase, I love TextCase. TextCase is a cool app. Basically, it lets you take text and do things to it. So this one, for example, it's kind of like shortcuts. Basically, this will take text that I give it and convert it to title case in the Chicago format. I have another one called Markdown to HTML, where basically I give it Markdown, it converts it to HTML for me. I need this for my podcast, and strip HTML. So if I have an HTML encoded thing, I can strip all the HTML out of it and just get plain text. So I like these quite a bit. Use that on a weekly basis or so. TextEdit, I rarely use the Unarchiver. If you don't have the Unarchiver and you have a Mac, I highly recommend checking it out. Basically, it's like the archive utility for unzipping files, but it works for basically every file format you can think of. Things remains my task manager of choice. I love it. It's fantastic. I made numerous videos about this, so again, not talking about it. Time Machine, I actually don't use any Time Machine backups. Ooh, there's the thing. So there's a notification if I want it to go away, hit my keyboard shortcut, and it's gone. Supercharge made that possible. So there you go. But yeah, don't use Time Machine. Maybe I should, but I don't. Tips, really cool icon. Really like this icon. Love the style. Never use it, though. Transmission, A younger me probably would have used this more, but I don't really use it for anything these days. On the very rare occasion, there is some file that's distributed with a torrent for whatever reason, and it's the best way to get it, so I have transmission just in case. I probably use this once a year, though, at this point. It's really not used often. Transmit is an FTP app that I really enjoy. This is from the people at Panic. And basically, I just can connect to a bunch of things. I have my personal servers I can connect to. I have a DigitalOcean Spaces thing that I can go to. So yeah, mostly just an FTP client that works really well, really reliably. Apple TV. Ulysses for writing. I showed that earlier with my shortcut. Basically, this is where all of my blog posts are written. It works on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac, and works with publishing to Ghost. So if I publish, it's connected to my Ghost site, and I can kind of see a preview and publish, and it's all pretty cool. Unread is my second favorite RSS reader. So similar to Reader, but just a little different. I personally prefer Reader by a little bit, but that's it. Visual Studio Code, the best code editor on any platform, in my opinion. Just really solid, really good. Vivaldi, my favorite Chromium browser right now. Again, I really like Arc, but it's tough to give it too much love if it's been abandoned, pretty much. Vivaldi, very good option. I made a video about this. That is basically all still true today, but also has a really rockin' icon. Love this icon. On to the last row, VLC. For playing any video file format that I can find. Voice memos I don't really use. Weather I don't really use. WhatsApp I used briefly. For a challenge on my podcast, I don't use it anymore. Xcode is required for developing iOS apps. I have Zen Browser twice. They actually literally, as of recording this video today, released a big update that, as of now at least, requires you to download a new app. You can't just do an update. And so Zen is the new one. Zen Browser was the old one. Basically, this is my browser of choice. Can I open it right now without revealing any personal info? Yeah, I think so. So trying to connect to something that won't work. But yeah, here it is. Looks very much like Arc now. So yeah, if you like Arc but wanted something that was kind of being actively developed, Zen is really cool. And then Zoom, I occasionally use Zoom. So that is it. My voice is completely going away. Hopefully you skipped around to what apps were interesting to you. But if you liked it at all, drop a like down below, and I will see you here next time. Bye-bye.